Today, we're diving into a really important and personal topic, what's being called the fatherless crisis. We're going to explore what it means when a father is missing, either physically or emotionally, and then look at a powerful, faith-based roadmap for navigating it, all from an Islamic perspective. Let's get right into it. So, just how big of a deal is this? Well, to put it in perspective, some sources have made the claim that Indonesia ranks as high as third in the world for this crisis. Now, while that specific number is up for debate, the problem itself is absolutely real, and it's touching so many families. It's a conversation we definitely need to be having. Okay, so what do we actually mean by fatherless? At its most basic, it means a father isn't physically living in the home. This could be because he's passed away, or maybe there's been a divorce, or for whatever reason, he's just not there. But that's really just scratching the surface. And that leads to a really crucial question. Is the problem just about a father not being physically present? Or is there something else, something deeper going on here that we really need to wrap our heads around? This is where it gets really interesting. The source material breaks it down into two main forms. First, you have physical absence, which we just talked about. But then there's role absence. And this is when the father is physically there. He lives in the house, but he's completely checked out from his role in raising his kids. And this brings us to a really powerful insight. The source argues that this second type, the dad who's there but not there, is actually the most dangerous. It's like his presence makes no real difference. He's there, but it's as if he's not. He's kind of a ghost in his own home. So, all right, if this is the reality for so many, how is a mother supposed to navigate the storm, especially when she feels like she's doing it all by herself? Well, the material we're looking at offers a really clear, actionable strategy just for mothers in this situation. And that strategy is broken down into 5 core steps. It's a journey, really. It starts by building yourself up from the inside, then focusing on your child, getting outside support, and finally finding your own peace. Let's break each one down. So, step 1 might actually surprise you. The strategy doesn't start with the child, and it doesn't start with the father. It starts with the mother. The idea here is simple but profound. You just can't pour from an empty cup. Your own spiritual foundation has to be rock solid before you can really support anyone else. So how do you build that foundation? The guidance here is all about strengthening your connection with God. This means deepening your religious knowledge, increasing your acts of worship. The whole idea is that by relying on the ultimate source of strength, you become stronger yourself. When you lean on the strongest possible support, you're not going to fall. All right, with that spiritual bedrock in place, the very next step is to build up your mental strength. This is all about developing that psychological armor you need to handle the incredible pressure of the situation. And this involves some really practical tactics. We're talking about knowing what your emotional triggers are and learning how to manage them. It means training your mind to trust in God's plan, letting go of the expectations you have for other people, which, let's be honest, often leads to disappointment. And so importantly, learning to value yourself. Okay, so once you've fortified yourself spiritually and mentally, you can then turn that new strength outward. Step 3 is all about intentionally pouring that energy into your relationship with your child, building a really strong, secure bond with them. And how do you do that? Well, it's through simple, consistent, intentional actions. Things like just eating meals together, having those little chats before bed, making time to play, and of course, showing affection with your words and actions. These are the small things that build an incredibly powerful bond over time. Step 4 acknowledges a really important truth. A child benefits from having a positive male role model in their life. So if the father isn't filling that role, it becomes vital to proactively find someone who can. And look, this person doesn't have to be a replacement father. It's about providing a positive male presence. This could be a grandfather or an uncle, maybe a trusted teacher at school, a coach, or a community leader. The goal is just to make sure the child sees what healthy, positive masculinity looks like. And that brings us to the final step. And honestly, this is often the hardest one of all. Forgiveness. This is all about letting go of the anger, the hurt, the resentment, not for anyone else, but as a way to find your own freedom and to heal. And it is so critical to understand who the forgiveness is really for. It's not some favor you're doing for the person who hurt you. It is a gift you give to yourself. It's about putting down that heavy emotional baggage you've been carrying so you have the strength and the freedom to build a better future. So after all that,
After building your spiritual and mental strength, strengthening the bond with your child, finding support, and learning to forgive, what's the final key? What's the one thing that holds all of this effort together?
It all comes back to this one profound statement. It means there is no power and no strength except with Allah. The ultimate message is about humility and reliance. It's the acknowledgement that after you've done everything you possibly can, the real power and the final outcome aren't in your hands. They rest with God. And that thought, well, it can bring an incredible amount of peace.